The clock reads 9:42 when the room stops breathing. A single sentence will split the air. Oprah's hand rests on the edge of her notepad, steady, deliberate, while the man opposite her stares past the cameras, past the crew, into something only he can see. Kanye West, the architect of sound and spectacle, is now surrounded by silence. The studio is colder than it looks. The hum of the overhead lights drifts like static. Somewhere, a red recording dot blinks. Steady. Merciless. Unin's Receipt 1. Studio B, Harpo Productions, Chicago. January 15th, 2024. Receipt 2. A small white card between them, handwritten in Oprah's looping pen. Do you regret it? Negligence. He hasn't looked at it yet. Assess at 9:42, he will. And the moment he does, something will shift that no edit can soften. It began as a controlled interview. The cameras rolled, the angles were clean, and both sides knew the stakes. But no one could control the weight of words already spoken to the world. Permission 2022. A string of posts, a series of interviews, a fire that spread through every feed. Crimson comment became 10, then 20. Each one sharper, louder, more impossible to defend. Blinds. Miss Under. Yeezy, Adidas, Balenciaga, Gap. Collapsed like scaffolding in a storm. Within 3 weeks, the Forbes valuation dropped from $1.9 billion to almost nothing. Manslaughter, having 5. His Twitter account went dark. That's the story everyone knows. What no one saw was this. The man who built a kingdom from defiance, now sitting still. Silence again. Oprah leans forward. You said, he cuts in, soft but firm. I know what I said. Shameful. One moves. Her eyes lower to the card. The question remains untouched. Between them, a glass of water ripples under the hum of an unseen vent. The motif of this moment, recurring like a heartbeat. Trimming like a glass will tremble again later, when the words finally land. He exhales. You ever feel like truth becomes poison when it leaves your mouth? No one answers. Bachelor, the world outside this room has no idea what's unfolding. But inside, there's an undercurrent, a dangerous patience. Misrewriting the frame, trying to own the chaos that nearly erased him. And yet, for every line of defense, there's the shadow of what can't be unsaid. Sideline between apology and defiance blurs. Crimson, he calls it awakening. She calls it avoidance. He says people don't want truth, they want comfort. Kremlin, her response is a silence that weighs more than rebuttal. 10 years ago, this man stood beside presidents and preached self-belief. Now, the same voice trembles when it reaches for redemption. Crimson words stumble over history. The wounds he opened, the faith he broke, the partners who turned away. He says he's been misread. Immigration. He says he's been silenced. But the footage from 2022 doesn't lie. Sickness, time-stamped, shared, replayed. October 16th, 2022. I can say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. And then they did. There's a rhythm to downfall. It starts with disbelief, then defense, then disappearance. Now we're in the 4th stage, the confrontation. At 09:42, the sentence comes. Merciless looks up. Do you regret it? He laughs once, a small, broken sound. Depends what it means. Slamming they doesn't look away. The words. Reliability blinks twice. His fingers tighten on the armrest. He says, regret isn't the same as wrong. Silence. That's when the glass trembles again. the motif returning, delicate and defiant. It vibrates against the table, a tiny quake inside the stillness. In the control booth, someone whispers, "We're getting it." Miss don't know how wrong that will sound in an hour. In 60 minutes, another clip will surface online, one Oprah hasn't seen yet. The footage cuts to black for a second, then returns with a faint hiss, the same hum that filled Studio B. Somewhere, a technician adjusts levels, unaware he's capturing history's second draft. It's now 10:07. Oprah's tone has changed. No longer calm inquiry, but a slow, deliberate pressure. "People saw you say things that broke them," she begins. "Do you understand that pain?" Kanye exhales through his nose, not as dismissal, but fatigue. He looks down at his hands, ink stains on the right thumb, a reminder of sketches made in the margins of another life. The hum deepens. The motif returns, that faint glass tremor, the ripple across still water. He notices it too. "That sound," he says, almost to himself. "It's like something about to crack." She doesn't respond. He leans forward. "You want me to say I'm sorry. But what if sorry doesn't fix what people think I am?" At minute 23, she stops writing. The pen rests on the edge of the notepad, parallel to the word regret. "That's not the question anymore," she says quietly. "Then what is? Who are you trying to save?" Silenced again. It lasts 7 full seconds, long enough for his pulse to be audible through the mic. 2 lines context. Head hasn't sat for a long-form interview since the collapse of his partnerships. Not since Adidas publicly ended the contract on October 25, 2022, erasing his billionaire status overnight. He's been off stage ever since. Until now. He speaks slowly. "You know what it's like when the world takes your name and builds a cage with it?" She meets his gaze. "You built the walls. A small smadmiration. At least I built something." The tension has shifted. No longer apology, but duel. Off camera, a producer mouths, "Stay with it." But the air thickens. "Off record or on?" he asks, voice lower now. Her brow lifts. "Everything's on." That's the boundary he won't forget. By 10:29, the calm veneer starts to fray. He begins connecting threads no one expects. Fame, faith, family, betrayal. He says people turned his pain into profit. He says brands loved the controversy until it burned them too. He slides something across the table, a folded piece of paper. It's wrinkled, faintly smudged with graphite. "This," he says, "is what they won't print." Jiang hesitates before unfolding it. Crimson is messy, looping, impulsive. Smith, one headline circled twice. Crimson, the unseen receipt has entered the room. He talks about a call from November 2022, a conversation with a major executive, name withheld. They said, "Lay low for 6 months and we'll bring you back clean." He pauses. They don't want healing. They want silence dressed as humility. His jaw. Remorse. Her motif returns, that faint ripple against glass. Homeland, it's louder. Oprah leans in. "What are you afraid people will find?" His answer comes fast. "That I meant it." It hangs there, brutal, honest, undefended. Even he looks startled. Behind the control glass, a producer mouths, "Cut it here." No one moves. Oprah's eyes shift, a flicker of empathy and fear. "Then why sit here?" He shrugs. "Because hiding's just another cage." The hum swells again, steady, relentless. At 10:41, she takes a breath that signals transition. "You know this will air. You know people will dissect every pause." "I know," he says, leaning back. "But they'll never hear what came before." What came before? He doesn't answer. To the far wall, where a faint reflection of himself hovers in the studio glass. A man caught between confession and collapse. Somewhere, a phone vibrates. A text appears on a monitor. TMZ has the voicemail. Producers exchange glances. He notices. What was that? Oprah says quickly, too quickly. He unseen receipt, the recording, is closer than anyone admits. His next line lands like prophecy. Whatever they play, it's missing context. The silence this time is colder. Even the hum pauses. He looks at the camera for the first time. Not defiant, just tired. This isn't my redemption arc, he says. It's just the truth without filters. The red light blinks again. Steady, patient, unforgiving. He glances at the glass. It trembles once, then settles. Peace. Temporary and thin. The calm before exposure. The clock edges toward 10:54 when the room shifts from interview to crossfire. A message arrives off screen. A producer's eyes flash, then dull. He sees it. He always does. Play it, he says. Get it over with. No one breathes. 2 lines of context. Reporters have been circling a voicemail since morning, reportedly authenticated by a third-party audio lab. It is said to be from late 2022. In the heat of backlash, timing aligned with suspended accounts and collapsing deals. The hum returns, lower now, like a machine bracing for impact. He watches Oprah watching the team. Off record or on? He asks again, quieter. Everything's on. The boundary holds. The cost rises. At 10:56, the choice becomes visible. A small speaker slid across felt. A thumb hovers. The red light over the main lens is unblinking. He leans back until his shoulders meet the chair. The fabric gives a quiet, tired sigh. Before you push, he says, remember, I was drowning. Drowning doesn't flinch. Drowning doesn't excuse what drags others under. Silence. He lets it bite through. If you play that, I'm done. The finger doesn't either. 1 beat, 2, 3. Then the softest tap. Shimmer spills like cold water. A voice, breathless, cramped by time and fury. They want me humbled. Tell them I don't bow. Tell them I'm not apologizing to buy back a seat at their table. Another inhale. If they cancel me, they cancel history. I make culture. Room contracts. Misinformation, few feel closer. He keeps his face turned to the glass wall, to the faint outline of a man he recognizes and doesn't. He whispers, almost surprised at his own sound. That was a storm. No one answers. She doesn't ask yet, floats anyway. If that was the storm, what is this? He tightens his grip on the armrest until his thumb pales. She breaks the quiet. Were you talking about Jewish people when you said that? A half smile, pained. I was talking about power. And you aimed it at a people who carry centuries of grief. I aimed at a system. A system with faces and families. Silenced again. His eyes glint, not with defiance, but with a held-back ache. I lost friends. Nods once. You cost strangers safety. Catches it. A microphone curiosity beat. In 4 minutes, the question that burned every boardroom will land in a single unbroken sentence. The answer will not save him. He tries a different road. Where does forgiveness start? Not by measuring pain. I'm not measuring. I'm asking the math. There isn't one. He turns his palms up, as if to show emptiness. They told me to disappear. To go quiet 6 months and someone will engineer my return. Allegedly, she says, careful, anchored. Allegedly, he echoes, mouth tight. I felt like a product being recalled. product hangs there, humiliating and true. Crimson crystallizes in that moment. The brand of himself has become dangerous to touch. That will not change after today. Then it comes, the heart wound surfacing without ceremony. My mother taught me belief, he says. Thinning. She said, build with your voice when your hands are tired. When I lost her, I built louder. Too loud. I mistook volume for vision. His breath stumbles. A single tear does not fall. It collects, stubborn, then retreats. Oprah's eyes soften, but the line remains. Belief without responsibility harms. I know that now. When did you know? He considers. When my kids asked why people were angry with their dad. The sake something with it, a shield, maybe. He doesn't hold the gaze. Silence. He chooses a fragment of truth that cuts him, and it costs him the last defense of posture. I thought I could bend history to me, he says, but history bent me. The thins to a single thread. The faintest tremor ticks the rim of the water glass, the motif returning at the hinge. Smith looks at it. It steadies. Say the words, she prompts, not unkind. He nods, jaw locked. I said things that were anti-Semitic. Rim freezes. He adds, and I hurt people. No qualifier, no but. That is the irreversible thing. Once spoken plainly, there is no path back to the old myth. The fan base that survived on ambiguity will splinter. Some endorsements will stay gone, permanently. He knows it. You can see the knowledge sit in his shoulders. Crimson, curiosity beat. In 90 seconds, he will string together 4 words that decide whether this becomes a turning or a tombstone. Smith waits. Salmon's is its own form of pressure. He takes the paper he slid earlier, the messy page with circled headlines, and folds it once, twice, until it's small enough to hide under his thumb. Stiffness, he doesn't hide it. He sets it back in the center, like an offering. What do you want right now? She asks. Room. For what? For the person after the mistake. Another silence, deeper, weight-bearing. She edges toward the boardroom question. Are you asking for platforms back? Partnerships, tours, brands? Meets it straight. I'm asking for the chance to work without my worst day defining every day. The cost meets the plea. The producer gestures, rap or move. Oprah ignores it. One more turn. The last one, for now. If a fan repeats your words, she says, and someone feels smaller in a classroom because of it, what do you say to the kid who feels targeted and to the kid who learned to target? He inhales, steadying. The 4 words arrive, unadorned. I was dangerously wrong. The sentence refuses performance. It doesn't redeem, it doesn't erase, but it closes the loop on denial. She sits with it, shoulders slumped in a way that says something intangible has been set down. Curiosity beat. In part 4, the door will open and close. The walkout will happen, not as a headline, but as a human flinch. The red light keeps its patient stare. No applause waits on. The other side of these walls. Only the next choice. And the next. The red light stays on. 10:54. A message flashes across a monitor. Oprah catches it first. He notices second. Windshield. Play it, Kanye says. Whatever it is. Turbulence. A small speaker hums awake. The air folds in. Statics. Tear it. Then his voice, recorded months ago, sharp, furious. They want me humbled. Tell them I don't bow. Relentless hang like smoke. He doesn't blink. That was me breaking, he says. Oprah's tone softens, not weaker, careful. You broke others too. Sentencing stretches. Tum hum deepens, that same glass tremor from earlier. He watches the ripple. If you play that, I'm done. Silenced. And she already has. Clangs of truth. The clip's real. It leaked an hour ago. Crimson PR team in Los Angeles is watching this feed in silence. Oprah sets her pen down. Do you understand what people heard in those words? Misinformation. And nods once. Power, anger, fear, not hate. Intent doesn't erase impact. Michelle looks smaller now. I lost friends. Rejection south strangers' peace. Demolition picks up the click of his throat. A question lands quiet. What do you want now? He exhales. Room to be human again. The water glass trembles. Motif alive again. Before settling flat. Misinformation. Are you sorry? He pauses. I was dangerously wrong. No performance, no defense, just exhaustion turned confession. The hum lowers to a thread. For a moment, the studio feels like a church stripped of music. Only air, only consequence. He folds the crumpled page between his fingers, voice almost gone. I thought I could bend history, he says. But history bent me. Oprah doesn't speak. The silence answers for her. And somewhere behind the glass, a hand hovers over the power switch. The one that could end this broadcast, or save it. The door doesn't slam. It sighs shut. Jiang 11:03 a.m. The interview is over. At least, that's what everyone thinks. Oprah stays seated, pen frozen mid-air. Kanye's footsteps echo down the hallway, then fade. For a moment, no one speaks. Not the crew, not the producers. Only the faint hiss of the speakers remains. The motif one last time. Someone whispers, "Do we roll the credits?" Oprah shakes her head. Not yet. Of the corridor, he stops by a window. Outside, the city hums. Cars, sirens, the rhythm of a world that moved on without him. Missiles his reflection stares back. Half legend, half cautionary tale. He presses a hand to the glass. They'll twist this, too, he mutters. And yet he turns back. He breathing quietly. No scrape of the chair this time. It exhales as he sits. I don't want sympathy, he says. Then what do you want? She asks. Silence that means peace, not punishment. She studies him, then closes her notebook for good. This is where choice begins. He nods, till lines of context. The world will dissect every frame, every pause, every twitch of his hand. But no one can edit what just happened. A man facing his echo. He looks into the camera again, softer now. To everyone who heard me and hurt, I can't undo it, but I can listen. His voice almost breaks, and I will. The glass of water remains untouched. The hum is gone. Later, as headlines flood in, Kanye's reckoning, the interview that shook him. One thing stands apart. Frail. Applause. No applause. Impartial. Just the weight of words finally answered. Because sometimes the loudest redemption is quiet. And sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's the start of truth. If this story gripped you, stabilized, like, and share. Unmarried, because the next story begins where this one dares to end. Silenced, in the calm after the collapse. And when it plays, the interview will break open like glass under heat. But that's later. For now, he leans back, eyes half closed, the words forming slow and deliberate. I said things that hurt people. That's truth. But I'm not here to play saint. I'm here to face what's left. The hum deepens. Even air feels cautious now. Still lies between them. The ink slightly smudged where her thumb rests. It's a small thing, almost trivial, but in this quiet, every detail feels alive. Every breath feels timed. The clock stops meaning seconds. It starts meaning consequences. And when the second hand finally clicks forward, his gaze lifts. He reaches for the glass, stops midway, still hangs between them. A single blink from her, unreadable. A single breath from him, heavier than the room can hold. Then, softly, if you air the rest, it's on you. The red light keeps blinking. No one calls cut. The silence becomes the story.